In this video, we're going to break down the speed cut, taking a look at what it is and when to use it. The speed cut is a type of break or route technique used usually on an in or out breaking route. You'll often hear it paired with the route, such as a speed out, but that is really speaking about the technique to use at the top of the out route. The speed cut is a single step cut which you're going to roll off that inside foot if we're running an out breaking route, or we're going to roll off that outside foot if it's an in breaking route. You'll notice here on a traditional square cut, usually paired with some type of weight drop, the receiver finishes flat at 90 degrees. On the contrary, on a speed cut, if our route depth is to finish at 12, we may roll at 10 and get flat at 12. A good way to think about or visualize it is to think about as if you were steering a bike at the top of a speed out or speed cut. Bikes can't really brake at 90 degrees. When you turn the handlebars, you kind of round into turns. It's no different on a speed cut. When we have a defender low and squatted at our depth, playing some type of catch technique, it's our responsibility, our job as receivers to create separation. We have to do something to move him opposite of where we want to go, similar to the way Michael Thomas does here. So when we get that low cover defender at our depth, we know our mindset has to be, I have to create this separation. Now, we're in a situation where our cover defender is about 4 or 5 yards higher than our route depth, and the 4 or 5 yards is subject to change, just using it now for simplicity. 4 or 5 yards higher than our final route depth. This is where we can use our speed cut, okay? We use the word maintain here because 5 yards of separation is a ton of separation. You ask any quarterback, they'd love to have 5 yards of separation on every route. So if we can just maintain that separation by alignment or that cushion that we're given from the DB, we win the route. So now the question is how? How do we maintain that separation, or how do we win on a speed cut? The most important thing is that we threaten with our vertical stem. We have to provide no indicator that a break is coming. If we froze your vertical stem right before we rolled off our inside or outside foot, we should have no idea that it was not a vertical route. We hit play and we see the speed cut. In review of providing no indicators, it's important that we have no change in height, we limit change in stride, and we don't look at the ground telling the DB where we're going. We want to look him right in his eyes. We also must make sure our shoulders stay square until we roll off our foot. The second we start leaning early before we roll off our foot, that's the indicator we're talking about. We're giving to the DB where we're going, that a break is coming. You'll notice here the DB actually gets out of his break before the receiver gets out of his own break because he starts leaning before he rolls off that foot. We'll take a look at it one more time in slow motion. You'll see him start to lean right before he rolls off his inside foot. Another key coaching point when finishing the speed cut is once we roll off that foot, we want to immediately glue our chin to that shoulder to A, pull us flat, and B, locate the football. One thing we have to touch base on is finishing negative. What we mean by that is we're finishing back downhill. Not in the sense of a curl or comeback. We're not working that aggressively back to the quarterback, but just about a yard or even a half yard back downhill to separate from the DB out of the route. This goes hand in hand with getting that chin glued to the shoulder. So one last coaching point in this brief speed cut video, what to do against a defender with route side leverage, or in this case, outside leverage on a speed out. We want to attack that outside shoulder to put ourselves between the defender and the ball. And you'll notice here, even with a late ball and a good break by the DB, we still win on the route. And now let's take a look at what happens when we don't attack leverage. You'll notice the DB down here at the bottom of the screen. He's about a yard or two outside of the receiver pre-snap. The receiver runs his vertical stem directly straight. It gives the DB that route side leverage we spoke about. He has a direct path to intercept the ball. And here are just some examples of that spray out, that stem at the outside shoulder. They often come from a condensed split or a nasty split. We're a little bit tighter to the line of scrimmage. They can be run in a quick out fashion with a shorter depth, or a deep out fashion with a little bit of a deeper depth. Regardless of depth, it's extremely important we attack leverage, spray at that outside shoulder, and eliminate that clear path for the DB to the ball.